Good morning. Welcome to Morning Meditations. And I'm filling in for Pastor again one more time today. And so we're at Psalms chapter 3. Psalms chapter 3. And we'll look at a couple verses here. Lord, how are they increased that trouble me? Many are they that rise up against me. Many there be which say of my soul, there is no help for him in God. Selah. But thou, O Lord, art a shield for me, my glory and the lifter up of mine head. I cried unto the Lord with my voice, and he heard me out of his holy hill. Selah. I laid me down and slept, and I awaked, for the Lord sustained me. I will not be afraid of 10,000 people that have set themselves against me round about. Arise, O Lord, save me, O my God, for thou hast smitten all mine enemies upon the cheekbone. Thou hast broken the teeth of the ungodly. Salvation belongeth unto the Lord. Thy blessing is upon thy people. Selah. And what an amazing psalm. And this, of course, was written by David, from what we can tell from the inscription. It was written by David during the time when Absalom was actually after him, his son Absalom after him for the throne. And so a time when a lot of his closest advisors, some of his closest people, even family members, had turned against him. And a time when David had spent many a time running from Saul and many a time running for his life from all kinds of people. But this time it was from his friends, from his family, and just at a time when, how many are they that rise up against me, and how they're increased that trouble me. And have you ever felt like that, a time where your problems just seem to be getting worse and worse, and you're kind of used to it, but all of a sudden it just seems like even people that were close to you, people that should love you, and all of a sudden they're the problem, and it's just coming up from all over, and all of a sudden overnight your troubles are just increased. And David here, in fear for his life, probably so much just emotional turmoil going on as well, and he goes to God. When he's in that situation, I understand he goes to God. He doesn't take it to Facebook or put it online somewhere. He doesn't argue and vent to his friends. He takes it to God. And that's where we should start. When we have problems, when we're overwhelmed, especially when it's the emotions and there's just so much that we can't bear it, take it to God. That should be the first place we go with our problems. I notice here also, they say that, verse 2, many there be which say of my soul, there is no hope, no help for him in God. There is no help for him in God. The world and the devil would like nothing better than for you to think that God doesn't care about you. God doesn't care about your life. He doesn't care about your feelings. He's not going to do anything about it. See, he hasn't answered yet. He hasn't helped you yet. We're getting the victory over you. And that's what it jumps to right away, that God doesn't care. And that's what we'll tell ourselves if we're not careful. No one has to tell us that. We'll, in our heart, sometimes, if we're not careful, we'll say, God doesn't care about me. God doesn't care. And for whatever reason, maybe I've made mistakes or I've done something wrong, and God just, he won't help me anymore. He doesn't care about me. I failed. God doesn't love me. He doesn't care about me. Or whatever it is, those thoughts will come into our heads. And we need to realize that, God's there. God does care. Don't let the obstacles and the things against you change you to believe a lie like that. Because the very next verse, but thou, O Lord, art a shield for me, my glory, the lifter up of mine head. God is a defender, a shield, something that we can depend on, something that we can trust. And that's what God is for us. He's someone who we can depend on him always for all the circumstances in life, and he will defend us from whatever we need defended from. He's our glory. He's the lifter up of our head. That means he's the one that when we're down, when we're out, when we're discouraged and we think no one cares, God takes your head and lifts it up and gives you hope again. He restores your vision. He restores your view, and he helps you to see things right. And, maybe that's where you are this morning. You need someone who can just defend you, someone who can lift up your head again and restore your view again and let you know that he's there and that there is hope again. And if that's the case, go to God this morning. Spend some time in prayer with him. God is the one who is going to lift that up. You're not going to get that from anyone else in your life, but God wants to do that for you. And we don't have much more time. We won't go on with the rest of it, but he basically says, verse 4, I cried unto the Lord with my voice, and he heard me. He heard me. When you call out to God, God will hear you. God always hears his children. I laid me down and slept, and I awaked, for the Lord sustained me. And because of all of those reasons, David said, in spite of all this uncertainty and all of my worries and cares, I'm going to go to sleep peacefully tonight. I'm going to lay down and sleep, and I know I'm going to wake up when God wants me to. And we should have that peace. If you're lying awake at night and you're worrying, take it to God. Take it to God, and he'll give you the peace that you need. And we see it toward the end that David basically says, God, all mine enemies, all my problems, they're in your hands. You're capable of taking the teeth out of my enemies. You're capable of getting rid of, basically unarming my enemies to the point where they can't hurt me anymore. God, you're capable of that. I'll just trust you. I'll leave it in your hands. You're my defense. Lord, just give me some rest. I'll lift up my head now. Restore me. And may that be our prayer when we get into troubles. And may that be our heart. And before we take it anywhere else, before we worry about it, before we lie awake all night worrying, take your cares to God. Realize that He's there to defend you, to help you, to give you peace, to restore you, to lift up your head. And that's what He wants to do for you. Thank you for joining us this morning, and we'll see you next time.